Just on a personal level, I've attended a lot of the workshops that Envision has done in other areas, just to kind of keep up with their methods and you know, the way that they're approaching projects and so on and so forth. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the day, originally when Envision started, we were a prime contractor for them. And after they got all those in-house abilities, we dropped out. But we've never really been direct competitors, as far as I know and concerned. And it is true in my experience, and I think others would concur, that you can only go to the well so many times with your public. And if they get the sense that, hey, didn't we just do that, or it's another chip process, blah, 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 you know, it's going to be tougher to do. So I don't know. Alan and I could certainly sit down and explore, and we have some inside help too with Christy, you know, the possibility that I could function as a sub-consultant and work the open space questions and get my facilitator instructions in the hands of his facilitators, which might actually be Carlos's students, I don't know. And you know, that would certainly lessen the expense on my part, because I would just plug into a bigger infrastructure. But clearly, looking at your wall minutes, normally I wouldn't be asked to be involved as a lead or even, you know, as the single consultant to solve these problems. This is way more than I would be willing to provide. So I think you are looking at something like an Envision-like level process, and depending on how open space shakes out, I might be able to help Alan, or he may have those abilities in-house and he can drum them up all by himself. So I don't know.
And maybe this goes back to, and Sumner did miss this part, but those circles over there, they're real important. That represents picking out your values, and then we go to the big picture on of what the home looks like, and then off to more detailed plans. And so I think what you're telling us is, once we've got the house designed and those kinds of things, that, you know, you're down the line farther along in the detail process. But obviously, as in this house plan, we kind of need to know that, yeah, we're going to have somebody come build the deck, so we got to build the structure or whatever to make sure we get that. So to me, that's starting to make sense, and to know that you all could work together. I think one of my questions is going to go now out to this side, is from cities and counties, how do you think this kind of process would affect you guys? And
well, I just want to, I've just had some thoughts. I've heard this going on. I mean, all of a sudden this whole thing could change real quick. I mean, it was 2 years ago that we had all kinds of big developments happening around Bear Lake. We had Black Bear on the Idaho side. We had Triad that was going to locate a manufacturing plant in Montpelier. Affordable housing from the Black Bear thing was going to put 200 houses in Montpelier. And quite frankly, we were wondering if we had the sewer capacity. We were wondering, Paul and I were talking earlier, we had all of our developments were going in totally wrong. I mean, we've got a short window here to make things happen. But if the economy should turn around a little quicker, a year from now we could be right to our ears with problems. So we need to get going.
No, the thought that keeps crossing my mind is, we want a 1% grant. We have, you know, there's just no money available. What is the possibilities of grants or stimulus money there now?
There's no stimulus money.
I didn't tell you that's his job, to keep track of the stimulus money in Utah.
Yeah, we're all done with the stimulus. There is, however, an opportunity coming up very shortly that I think this group is in a good position to take advantage of. The federal departments of Transportation, Housing and Urban Development, and the Environmental Protection Agency have partnered together on a new program, what they're calling Sustainable Communities. And they're putting out a grant. Boy, I mean, we're expecting the paperwork to come out next week. And they want applications in by the 1st of June. So we will have a 6-week time period to put together an application where we can apply for funding assistance that will go towards a planning project of this nature that incorporates land use development planning. It incorporates transportation planning, housing planning, natural resource and environmental planning. I mean, with the water quality issues and air quality issues and wildlife issues around the lake, the shared transportation concerns that we have, the housing, the workforce housing, and other developmental issues, as well as economic development. I mean, you know, looking at growing local businesses and giving the local residents an opportunity to stay here and to make a living year-round, as opposed to having to leave after they go to college. You know, these are all concerns that this program is tailor-made for, in my opinion. And as I mentioned, the paperwork with all of the requirements, and I'm as a federal grant, I'm sure there will be a match requirement, but it may be as low as 25 or 20%, which is, I think, is an easily attainable goal, considering the other local government and private entities around here that could be interested in contributing. But you know, the timing for this, in my opinion, could not be any better, because this federal grant will be coming out very shortly. This summer they plan on making the awards in August, and so we could, you know, I've been talking with Mitch about getting the paperwork in for this one. But that's an example of something that's coming up right now that we may need to reach out and try and grab. There are other, you know, more persistent opportunities in terms of some state and federal assistance. They don't, sometimes, some of them come around at different times of the year, some of them come around a little more frequently. You know, the amounts of money that are available go up and down, but you know, there are funds out there that we can take advantage of, and you know, it's just a matter of deciding on a course of action and then putting it to paper and getting out there.
And do you think that should be initiated from this steering group?
Actually, that it kind of depends on the funding source as to who needs to initiate it. In most cases with the federal government, the sponsoring agency needs to be a local government, either the county or a municipality. However, especially with the case of this upcoming HUD Sustainable Communities program, if you are working cooperatively with multiple jurisdictions, if you've got 2 counties willing to work together, or 2 or 3 communities and 1 county, or in this case, you know, we have a regional organization of 2 counties and multiple towns willing to work together. Again, you know, it really kind of depends on what the federal government decides as, you know, who gets to be the applicant. In most cases, the eligibility requires that you're some sort of organized local government that responds to an electorate directly, as opposed to, you know, I don't know if the regional commission itself would be an eligible group, but you know, sometimes an economic development district can do it. Sometimes it has to be the county, or you know, in some cases it can be a non-profit organization, but it depends on that. But there are different opportunities for different groups. So.
Okay, that's real interesting. Let's say I got one over here, and I'm going to get the other bill too.
We have a county airport that would sure make a nice regional airport. Is that something you could bring into this type of process?
Certainly, with the Federal Department of Transportation also includes the Federal Aviation Administration, and there are many different opportunities to incorporate airport planning into regional transportation planning projects.
Yeah, because we in Beverly County have an excellent airport, and it would sure be nice if it could be expanded to a regional airport for both sides of the border.
That probably would add to how you'd score in that kind of a grant. What do you think, Bill?